All right, now next up is our second pitch, and our second pitch is from HighFive Protection, and they want to make sure that when you go out for a run, you are safe and protected on your run. Let's give it a big round of applause for HighFive.
Hi, my name is JT Nattensid, and I'm the CEO of HighFive Protection.
Hello, I'm Caleb Festi, CMO.
Hi, I'm Matthew Gentz, COO.
I'm Barry Shun, I'm CFO. And I'm Eli Knapp, CMO. So tell me, do any of you have any family or friends who run or jog? Well, I was reading the news the other day, and I came across an article. It was about a woman who's jogging in her neighborhood at 6:30 a.m. She was sexually assaulted. Another woman from that same neighborhood says that she now doesn't feel safe running in her own neighborhood. This was in Northwest Austin. This made me realize that the world is, in fact, a scary place. Did you know that 1 in 6 women will be raped or sexually assaulted in their lifetime? And every 2 minutes, someone is sexually assaulted. This is according to RAIN.org.
At HighFive Protection, we found these numbers to be way too high, and we set out to find a solution. We have invented an innovative new product that will allow runners to feel safe and comfortable at the same time. It's called the Stun Glove. The Stun Glove offers instant, powerful security, and it's unobtrusive, meaning that it doesn't hinder the running process at all. This is how it works. The Stun Glove is comprised of 5 simple parts. The first part is the glove itself, which is going to be lightweight and fingerless for comfort in all seasons. Then there's the batteries, which supply power to not only 1, but 2 switches. This provides double redundancy to protect the runner from accidental self-shocking. That then feeds into a transformer, which outputs about 10,000 volts, the same as your average stun gun that you can buy from a convenience store or a sporting goods store. As you can see, we brought our functional prototype here, and we also have some videos to showcase it.
Stun Glove 2.0, test number 1. Stun Glove 2.0, test number 2.
As you can see, it's very powerful, and even if you don't have to use it on somebody, it's loud enough to be a deterrent as well. As you also might be able to tell, the glove itself isn't as sleek or as comfortable as we want it to end up being, but that's because this is only a prototype. We've brought with us, and we've given you one copy of what we hope our final product will look more like. This glove is built specifically for runners and bikers, and we brought it today to show that a glove like this is capable of housing the electronic components needed to make this work. As you can see, the lights would be where the stun component of our glove would go. Now, our glove would most likely be lightweight and more perforated to allow for moisture wicking so that it's more comfortable for runners, because that's one of the main problems with our competitors, and that's what we want to beat. It would also be fingerless so it can be comfortable in all seasons. For our market, according to the US Census in 2010, 64 million people identify as runners or joggers. We estimate about 40 million of these people would be interested in our product, mostly women, but again, we don't want to alienate anybody, so some men as well. This provides an astounding $1.6 billion opportunity for our company.
However, this does not include our secondary market of college students. In a recent article done by the Austin American Statesman, we found that 28% of undergraduate females have been sexually assaulted. According to the United States Census, there are 16 million college students in the United States, and with 8 million females, that is an additional $320 million to our market, with a grand total of $1.92 billion in opportunity. With only 5% penetration, we will get $100 million in revenue. In terms of our competitors, we only have the stun gun and mace. However, the problem with these is that they're very bulky and obtrusive to the running process. As a result, the runner will end up paying a lot of money for a product they won't even use. For example, my sister. She was approached by a man who tried to sexually assault her while running. She is the owner of Mace. However, she does not use it because, as I said, it is bulky and obtrusive. This was very hard on our family, and especially her, because she is now fearful whenever she goes out for a jog. Luckily for her,
Luckily, Hannah was fast enough to get away from her attacker.
Yes.
But not everybody is this lucky. With our glove, they'll not only feel safe, but they'll also feel comfortable, and they won't have to experience anything like what Caleb's sister had to experience. And this is good because we all have loved ones we want to protect.
For example, my girlfriend. She attends Texas A&M University and likes to run. I personally would feel much better if she had this product.
For our minimum viable product, we went to Town Lake and surveyed runners. We found that only 11% of them said no, they wouldn't purchase our product. Of that 11%, a majority of them were men. We found this statistic to be very intriguing because it shows us how big the interest in our product there is.
For our go-to-market plan, we first hope to secure funding tonight, and from there, we'll go to a design firm in order to develop a final product. As our main marketing tool, we'll use a Kickstarter in order to present a video to a very large audience. Through this Kickstarter, we hope to raise additional money, and most importantly, awareness and also pre-orders. In addition to the Kickstarter, we also plan to attend expos or running events in order to get exposure directly to our market. We also plan to use our product as endorsements. We're in close relations with the Gazelle Running Group, the largest running group in Austin, and once we develop a final product, we plan to give a few of those to those leaders. And also, through those endorsements, we plan to get people talking in order to create a word of mouth about the Stun Glove. And lastly, we hope to be in magazines such as Austin Fit. We've been in contact with some of the associates, as well as the CEO, in order to get an article in their magazine.
After the completion of our Kickstarter campaign, we plan to take the specs that we acquired from the design firm and begin mass production in a factory overseas. The units that come out of this mass production will first be used to satisfy the pre-orders from the Kickstarter campaign, and then to move into retail stores across the United States. We think that with these retail stores, we can truly achieve the nationwide penetration we're looking for, which will serve twofold. First, it will help everyone profit, and second, it will make the world a safer place, because we believe that once this product is really everywhere, it can stop attacks like this. And if we can stop even one of these atrocities from happening with our product, we will consider ourselves a success.
To make this possible, we're trying to raise $75,000 in capital funds in exchange for a percentage of our company. We're not only looking for an investor to supply us with these funds, but someone who believes in our mission to make a difference.
The first and most important use of this capital is $30,000 for a design firm. The design firm will not only help us make the glove lightweight and comfortable for runners, but also safe, making it waterproof and UL certified. The second use of capital is $15,000 for patents, which will ensure that once our product is up and running, nobody can steal the idea. We also need $2,000 for $1 million worth of liability insurance. We need $10,000 for marketing and market research combined, and an additional $10,000 for tooling, which is another way of saying equipment that factories need to use to build our product. Then lastly, we have $8,000 for a contingency plan, because if and when something does come up, we don't want it to be something that stops us, but rather is just a hurdle that we can get over and continue on our mission.
In terms of our projections, in year one, we were projected to make $192,000 of revenue with $85,000 in net income. And for year 5, $865,000 in revenue with $335,000 in net income. As you notice, this graph grows exponentially and then levels at the top. This is because these projections are solely based on the Austin market, which account for roughly 2/3% of our entire nearly $2 billion market.
This projection does also not account for the fact that we plan to move to other cities and other states after the first year. This is only the Austin market. Now, at the beginning of this pitch, Eli asked you to raise your hands if you had a friend or loved one who runs. Now I want to ask you one more time to raise your high five as high as you can if you want to join us in preventing rape and sexual assault. Thank you, and we implore you to join us and help us find where safety meets comfort.
Great job. All right, let's turn over to our judges.
Wow. Really great, guys.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good. Very innovative idea. I want to talk to you a little bit about, you had a lot around income and cost. Your income is based on what? What are you selling this product for? Have you spoken to a design firm? Have you gotten some ideas about around the cost of what this could sell for? How did you arrive at those numbers?
Well, in terms of the cost that we'll sell the product for, during our minimum viable product, when we went and interviewed runners, one of the questions in the survey we asked them was how much they would pay for the product, and we got an average of around $40, which we believe to be pretty accurate because, as Caleb said, some of the competitors go for around $25, and ours adds the added comfort factor, which we believe is worth the extra $15. In terms of, was the other question about cost of goods sold?
When you did a minimum viable product,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So did you figure out the BOM or the cost of goods for that?
So we've actually been in contact with the ex-marketing director at Nike, and he says that with a product like this, it's hard to know exactly how much it would cost to make until you've worked with a design firm, which he also says he can help get us in contact with should we become invested in tonight. But we estimate the product will be around $1,750, and this is a rather gratuitous estimate on the side of the factory because we didn't want to under-evaluate it and end up in trouble later. So we think it could actually end up being less, especially when we start ordering in bulk from factories overseas.
Okay, thank you.
Great job, guys. Great job. Again, very innovative, and I applaud you for that. I also like that you have a relationship with the Gazelle running group, and you have someone that you can actually be able to poll and get feedback from. My question throughout this, though, is how do you feel about the product if it does get in the wrong hands, so to speak, and if someone uses it in a way that you don't intend it to be used for? So what I know you've thought through that process. What are some of your thoughts around having this be something that actually is not used just for running?
You're absolutely correct in saying that we have thought about this. It's something that we would pray never happens, but like any product of this nature, really anyone can buy it. When we were doing our minimum viable product, we wanted to make this prototype. So I went to Academy and I bought it, and they say you have to be 18, which is the only legal limitation on buying a stun gun, but they didn't even ID me. So they're really quite easy to get already. And as to the value of this product being used that way, as I said, we would never want that to happen, but with anything of this nature, it's very hard to prevent that. Obviously, if it was used in a way that was counter to what we would like it to be used for, we would do everything in our power to stop that and make sure that didn't happen again.
So tell me about you guys. Some of you are seniors, some are juniors, or all seniors. Tell me a little bit about that.
We're all seniors.
You are?
Yeah. You want to say where we're going?
Yes, all of us?
No, just we're
Okay. I'm actually undecided where I'm going. I'm very strongly pulling towards Arizona State University for aviation.
I'm going to Texas A&M.
I'm also going to Texas A&M for business.
I'm going to Alabama.
I'm going to UT.
Okay.
Originally, we were worried that this far separation that we're going to get next year could be a liability.
Yeah, so you're anticipating my follow-up question, so
Yes, sir.
go ahead, JT.
Well,
Good job.
we've actually come to see it as a potential benefit because, as I said, we want to expand to other cities and other states even, and we are going to be in multiple states next year, regardless of where Matthew decides to go. So we believe we can use this to really get this out there and get it on college campuses, especially for that secondary market we've been talking about, but also be in contact with retail stores in each area so that we can really get that spread we were talking about.
Okay.
Really nice job, and I have to compliment you on your presentation. The graphics, the colors are nice and sleek, so good job on that.
Thank you.
I also have to give you kudos because as you were doing your presentation, my risk management radar went off, and one of the questions I was going to ask you about is, had you thought about product liability? Had you priced out insurance for that? And you addressed that even before I had a chance to answer the question. So good job on that. One of the questions I did have, though, was the only focus group that you coordinated the group of Town Lake runners, or did you have other focus groups? And then secondly, have you thought about potentially marketing this product outside of the running community?
Yes, we have. As another market, we could go to policemen because we found that when they respond to the taser, they have to grab it by the waistband and then point it up. Versus if we sell them our glove, they'll be able to have it ready as soon as or whenever they want it.
The first time we brought this in for a presentation, since it is technically a weapon and it was at that time active, we've since had to deactivate it for this, but we had a police officer escort us in, And he was talking to us before the presentation about how much he would love one of these and how easy it is to get inroads into that market with certain products because police officers are always looking for new things like this. So we have considered that, and we think it could be a viable option in the future.
I guess I'm last here. I love the presentation, very good. I would really like a demonstration, Clint, if you're willing to. But, you know, I like the fact that you guys are shooting high. I think, you know, one of my questions was, okay, the numbers in terms of your revenue projections were very large. Did you do any research or look into the revenue in the addressable market for the products that are already on the market? In other words, you know, how much mace is sold in the Austin area? What is the stun gun market that's currently out there to give you an indication of what you might expect in revenue?
We've done very, very limited, admittedly, and limited research on that. For example, when I went to buy that stun gun, I asked the guy who was selling it to me how often do people buy these. He said not very. And the only other experience we have is that like Caleb said, when his father bought mace for him, his sister, and his mother, they just don't get used very often. So we think that that's kind of an untapped market. There's things out there for it, and people do buy it to use as a regular protection device, but it's not tailored specifically to runners. So in terms of runners buying it for that purpose, we don't think it's purchased very often.
All right. Nothing else from the judges. Let's give them another big round of applause. And you guys come down and shake the judges' hands. Please be sure to use an ungloved hand when shaking. As they said, we are all safe. That device the batteries are not in it, so they can't actually zap any of us, or they would not be allowed on campus.